Hey guys, this is Tom, and if you're new to my channel, I make videos that help you empower your higher self and manifest your dream life. In this video, I'm going to be offering a sort of no bullshit, step-by-step guide of how to reprogram your subconscious mind. Now, reprogramming the subconscious mind is probably a buzz phrase that you've heard on the internet. You may have seen that classic picture of the iceberg, which I'll grab up now. That's a very common thing that a lot of us see, and especially those YouTube videos with various famous speakers on the subconscious mind offering, these methods that can help us do this and achieve results in as little as a few minutes with certain practices. Now, while all this may be true and possible, I've come to find that it's a little bit more of an in-depth process, and through a lot of research and trial and experimentation, I've really come across a method that works for me and consistently. And this method can really be applied for any belief, any habit, any new goal, and really just to change your entire self-image and state of being on a daily basis. So using this method, you can really feel like you're catching a tide, and this tide is like a wave that carries you towards that ideal destination that you want to head in with your life. So before going in, a quick disclaimer: this method doesn't use a lot of visualization or imagination. Whilst imagination definitely can reprogram your subconscious mind, it's such a rich and powerful method in and of itself. I put it as a separate branch to explore in other videos. So in this video, we won't be dealing with it too directly. So this is just one method, a powerful method at that, but not the be-all or end-all. Okay, so to first understand what the subconscious mind is, let's contrast it with the conscious mind. Well, firstly, conscious in this context basically means that which we are aware of, at least on some level, on a day-to-day basis. So it's the thought that we hear, the little voice in our head that we hear in our mind, and it's our rational thinking that we use to interpret the world through our five senses, and also to use for thinking in all kinds of ways on a daily basis, whether that's thinking about a problem you need to be solved, or just contemplating life and figuring things out in sort of more higher order sort of cerebral activities like mathematics, philosophy, engineering, or anything like that. All of that is using a mind that we're aware of and that we are sort of actively choosing to utilize in some specific way. So that's sort of the conscious mind, and no doubt you'll be familiar with this because we all are. It's just that part of ourselves, that internal part of ourselves that we live with on a daily basis. So the subconscious mind. Now this is a bit of a mystery, because as we saw in that image of the iceberg, apparently the subconscious mind is this drastic, large thing that we actually can't see. It's not something that we can point to in our everyday world. It's something that we're not even aware of, apparently, and it's invisible. So what is this thing exactly? It's a bit of a mystery, and you may have questions. Is it something that is in my brain? Is it a part of my brain, such as stored memories? Or is it some kind of thing that's intertwined with my very consciousness? It's some kind of spiritual or metaphysical type of phenomena that's layered deep down within my very consciousness as a human being. So these questions are all valid and will all help it to inform us as we explore and understand what the subconscious mind is. In saying all that, what I've found is that to understand this notion of a subconscious mind, it's better to just ask questions and just to, you as the viewer, think about this in a more common sense, everyday example. So the one I like to use is brushing your teeth. So I'll ask you, every day when you stand in front of the mirror and brush your teeth, who is brushing your teeth? Now, you may jump to say, well, I'm brushing my teeth. Clearly, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm looking in the mirror and I've got a toothbrush in my hand and it's me. But if we look a little bit deeper, you'll find that it's more that you're vaguely looking at yourself in the mirror while performing a series of motions. But the you, that conscious mind part of you that we spoke of before, can be far, far away from that actual situation in the present moment. Can be thinking about all kinds of things. And I'm like this on a daily basis. I stand in front of the mirror and I'm often thinking about things in my life, planning about the day, having all kinds of ideas or thoughts. And I'm not very present at all in the very basic motion of brushing my teeth. But if we were to brush our teeth with the conscious mind, it would look truly something like this. And these are all internal dialogue of thoughts in your mind, but I'm vocalizing them now. It'd be something like, okay, so I've got to pick up the toothbrush, I've got to bring it up against my tooth and hold it, not too firm, okay, that's good. Now bring it around all the teeth, make sure I get all the way around, okay, I'm doing a good job. Moving around here, now I've got to go to the underside, doing that because I've got to go around there. Alright, reach that side, now I've got to go to the back. Now again, am I pressing too hard? Because I don't want to press too hard because that's going to make my gums bleed, and that could be a sign that I'm not brushing enough. Okay, so I'm doing a good job, and it would be so on and so on and so on. You really have to be focused and using that conscious faculty to judge your progress in doing the action. But of course, we've learned how to do it, so that's not the case at all. It's an automatic process, an automatic program, and that's hinting at what the subconscious mind is. Another example that I love from the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz is talking about baseball and the catchers on the field. That when a pitch is thrown and the hitter strikes the ball, at that very moment, a series of very, very complicated computations in the brain must be made in order for that catcher to make a decent effort to actually run and catch the ball, such as the speed of the ball, the angle of the hit, the velocity of the ball, the direction in which to run, the wind speed, and the curvature of the ball through space, and the angle at which he has to put his hand, and the direct intersection at which the ball is going to hit into the bat. The ball is going to land into the mitt. All of these very complicated things that we can mathematically measure, but they happen in a split second. Not a single conscious thought is had. It's simply the ball cracks off the bat and the runner goes for it. And that is because he or she has experienced this and memorized these very complicated computations and movements such that it becomes one subconscious automatic race to catch the ball. So again, that is what the subconscious mind is like. It's this program within us. But that raises the question, what is a subconscious mind program? What is a program itself? So a program is obviously a series of actions with the body. But what actually governs these series of actions? How do we implant these series of actions in this deeper part of ourselves that we can't see, such that it automatically fires? So that's a good question. These programs are made up of thoughts or beliefs. And a belief is simply a thought that you like having. And so the way it sort of works is, in the example of the baseball, we experience doing that action so many times and we are consciously applying thoughts that help inform us on how to catch the ball in the most efficient, successful manner. And we experience this enough times and we repeat these thoughts such that they crystallize into beliefs, and these beliefs then are handed off and below to the subconscious mind such that they are acted out. So really, it's about the thoughts you're thinking enough time to crystallize into beliefs, and these beliefs form a structure at which the program can then effectively run according to those guidelines. But that's a more learned example. Truly, it actually works more like this for many of those beliefs and habits that we have at our identity level, about who we believe we are, about what we believe is possible with life. Those happen to us before we even have a conscious mind to really figure out what thoughts we like thinking. what thoughts we want to crystallize into beliefs that can then govern our best behavior. None of that sort of happens for the most important beliefs we hold about ourselves and reality. Now, you may have also heard this, and this is what I'm referring to, is the fact that below the age of 5 we don't really have a matured, developed sense of a conscious mind. That sense of self, that voice that can reason and interpret the world and make informed beliefs and thoughts about it. Our perception just happens directly into our subconscious mind. So an example of this is a child that touches something hot. Maybe it's a stove, something else, and there's no, ouch, that hurt me, and I don't want to be hurt because I value my survival, and if I touch hot things it's going to burn me and that could eventually kill me. None of that happens. It's ow, ow. And if it's severe enough of an experience, sometimes that's it. That's straight in there as a program, and for the rest of that person's life, as that baby grows into a child and a teenager and adult, hot things won't be touched in that way after a single experience. So that's a more generic example. But here is and that's a valuable thing to have as well. So that's a favourable belief that happened to be instilled into the subconscious mind. Well, the baby didn't have the consciousness to reason whether it was good or bad. It happened to be a positive one. But many of these experiences as a child, and you may relate, I'm sure at least some of us, because talking from my own experience, had experiences that weren't so favourable. And if you are and had a difficult child, my heart goes out to you, because I know, especially some of the closest people to me, I know have had very tough childhoods, and I know that can be quite traumatic. But that's a side note, and we can do something about that. That's the point of this video. But yes, it's these less favourable experiences. And there was one example, actually, of a YouTuber who was attending a plant medicine ceremony in Costa Rica called ayahuasca. Some of you may have heard it. And this plant basically allows us to delve deeply into the subconscious mind and to relive in vivid detail experiences that have happened to us in the past that deeply imprinted us with these programs. And more often than not, it's in a negative, limiting way. So this person basically was at this plant ceremony and relived a memory that was far too early for many of us to believe is possible to remember. And that was day 1 of being alive and sitting in the crib at the hospital and seeing the mother look away and ignore her for a second. Now, I'm sure the mother had a million things on her mind, was drained from the birth, a million reasons that at that point when she looked away. But to this child, that looking away had deep impacts to do with abandonment and worth. And it formed this low self-esteem identity that started to play out in subconscious programming for the rest of its life. And only in adulthood, only through a tool like a plant medicine ceremony, or the tool I'm speaking about to you right now, amongst other things, can we then start to shape and shift it and create it into something that we think will positively benefit us, something that empowers us. And that's the point. But you can see these programs can be very huge in the role they play in the kind of life, the kind of patterns and programs we live out on a daily basis. And eventually, these daily actions equal our destiny in life, our entire results and quality of life. With that being said, I'm sure you can now understand with greater insight why making a change, especially a habit change, but even an identity change, is so difficult. Because when we have these programs running deep within us that we're not really aware of, and some of them don't even make sense to our more rational, mature selves, when these are playing out, they're playing out because fundamentally they're there to protect us. So they're not evil, it's just it was the best way of processing a traumatic experience or a certain experience when we were young that would then help to protect us so that we don't go astray in life and end up doing something that could seriously affect our survival abilities. So that's why they're in place. And so when you're trying to create a new habit, you often get one step forward and then quickly 2 steps back are pushed, because something jars with your very beliefs about how reality works. And when this happens, the body goes into fight or flight mode response, the autonomic nervous system activates, and you are seriously compelled to retract into that old self, into those old ways of life. Now, on that note, in Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, he sums this up in a very succinct, clear way. And I'm just going to read this quote to explain to you why the changes you may be trying to make, the things you may be trying to manifest in your life, can be challenging to you. And it's actually not your fault at all why this is the case. So here is the quote. 95% of who we are sits in the subconscious memory system, in which the body automatically runs a programmed set of behaviors and emotional reactions. This means that we will think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, react in identical ways. Whether it's driving a car, brushing our teeth, overeating when we're stressed, worrying about our future, judging our friends, complaining about our lives, blaming our parents, not believing in ourselves, and insisting on being chronically unhappy. So a person may consciously want to be happy, healthy, and free, but the experience of hosting 10 or 20 years of suffering and the repeated cycling of those chemicals of pain have subconsciously conditioned the body to live out this habitual state. Think about that. 5% of the mind is conscious, struggling against 95% that is running subconscious automatic programs. The 95% is so reflexive that all it takes is one stray thought or a single stimulus from the environment to turn on the automatic program again. Then we're back to the same old, thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, but expecting something different to happen in our lives. The greatest habit we must break is the habit of being ourselves. Okay, so I know this is taking a lot of setup, but now let's get into how to change this. Because like the baseball example, through repetition of certain beliefs, new thought forms, we eventually can ingrain new emotional experiences, new programs into our subconscious mind, such that they start to automatically play in our life. And these can be empowering, positive, freeing programs, anything you like, and they will propel you through little effort of your own towards the things you really want to experience, all the goals, the things that truly light you up inside. That is the power of changing them. So firstly, you have to identify what you want to change. Is it a habit, like waking up early? Do you want to be an early riser, someone who gets to work on time and who is never late? Those are two basic habits. It can be a belief. Do you want to believe that you're a confident person? Do you want to believe that you're an attractive person, despite however you look? Do you want to change your self-image as a whole? That can be a very complex thing, but you can build up a new image of how you want to carry yourself and behave in everyday life. So your self-image. And also your goals. Who do you want to see yourself as if they had already achieved a goal? If it's a financial goal, if it's a goal in your career, if it's a relationship you want to create. This can be a series of thoughts that you can then start to program in. So whatever it is, make sure it is clear, present tense, and positively framed. So no, I don't want to be a late person. It's, I am so happy and grateful now that I arrive on time wherever I go. That could be an example of a very simple new thought that you're going to start to program in that's going to then become a new way of life for you. So whatever it is, you have to have a clearly defined couple of sentences that you're going to be focused on. Once you have that, it is about repeating it and becoming consumed by it on a daily basis that you start to believe it's true. Now this may sound silly, but in my own experience, I've used this and it is phenomenal. you will start to focus on a specific new belief, and you start to focus on it, and then after a week, all of a sudden you encounter some kind of situation in your everyday life, and you'll find yourself at a very clear crossroads. And once you've fueled up this new belief by repeating it to yourself, by becoming emotionally involved with it and believing it, accepting it as if it was true right now in the present moment, at this crossroads, when enough momentum builds, you end up taking the positive new path, and you start to branch away from that old conditioned self, and over time it becomes true, it becomes a new reality, and you can't even remember who you used to be. It's that powerful. And I sometimes struggle to remember who I used to be before I had self-esteem, because I used to suffer from lots of cripplingly low self-esteem, negative self-belief, self-loathing, and hatred, and shyness, and unconfidence. And I can't even remember really anymore what that feels like, because I programmed myself with a new set of subconscious habits and patterns, belief systems, that now I've become this new person. So the key thing here is to get the clearly defined present tense new program that you want to install in you, and to repeat it every day. Now, how do you do this? There's two clear ways, and there's no right or wrong here, so you choose whatever works for you. One is writing it down on a piece of paper as many times as you can. Now, I know Bob Proctor says write it down 100 times, but really that can take hours. So a good 10 to 20 times writing it down. But the key thing is, when you're writing it down, become emotionally involved with the words. And you keep writing it down, and then you go on with your day. Then the next day you wake up and you write it down. I am so happy and grateful now that, whatever you're working on, whatever you want to program within yourself. Again and again and again. And you do that for 60, 90, 120 days. Really, it's going to take time. I have a law of attraction coach, having said that, in the past, that said she was able to make complete shifts in as little as 21 days, or even 2 weeks in one situation, depending on what you're working on. But generally I say, start to accept that this is a long-term process, and you're going to have to commit to something over 1, 2, 3 months at the very minimum, 1 month, to really start to believe this into a new reality. And then option number 2, and this is my preferred option, is to get the new belief, the new program, whatever it is, and to record it into your phone. And then I also like to put backing music to it, just nice spiritual music, and then you play it over and over and over again on your way to work, on your drive to pick up your kids. Whenever you have spare time, you listen to this tape, and you don't have to look at the words, you don't have to do anything. You just listen to these new beliefs, these new thoughts about yourself, and you feel into them as if they're true. And you keep doing that every single day without fail is an absolute key. So basically, you get the idea. It's about becoming consciously focused on new programs, new beliefs that are fueling the habits, beliefs, self-image, or goals you want to achieve for yourself. Okay, some key pointers about this process. Emotional connection to the words is absolutely crucial. You have to condition your body to live the program as if it's real right now. You have to convince yourself that it's safe and a beautiful thing to experiencing these new beliefs in the present moment. Because remember what we said before, the body is scared to change its beliefs because it thinks it's threatening to its survival. Even if you're working on something as healthy as going to the gym and eating healthier, that, to a subconscious mind reprogramming system, might be perceived as a survival threat. So therefore, it's very important to become emotionally involved in these new ideas such that they start to stick and your mind is convinced that they're safe, beneficial for its own survival. So emotional involvement is key. Tip number 2 is repetition. Missing a day can be devastating to this process. That's why I don't particularly myself prefer the writing one, because I find that writing is a bit laborious, and when it's really starting to take hold and you're in a bit of a state of discomfort, you can easily skip a day. And then I've been there before where I got to day 60, very committed on something, I missed a day and I eventually dropped the entire process for 2 months because I became consumed by other real world problems that I was dealing with, and it just got left aside, and I literally undid 60 days of progress. So make sure you don't miss a day, and that's all you have to do. That's all your job is. You don't have to do anything else other than becoming emotionally evolved and repeating it on a daily basis. Number 3 is expect discomfort, but no, it's nothing you can't handle. The reason I say expect discomfort and realize that it's not something to be afraid of or something that you're doing wrong if you're feeling a bit of discomfort or even anxiety and fear in some specific circumstances. This is all normal. Think about it. You've got a program, let's call that program X. That's the old one that is trying to keep you safe, and then you're trying to put in program Y right down next to it in the subconscious mind. And when this Y starts getting power and it starts facing the X programming, the past programming head on, they start to butt heads for power because this Y is trying to really knock this one out of your entire way of life, your entire belief system. That process is uncomfortable. You will feel pulled down and drawn back to letting this all go. That's why it's important to repeat this, because you will be tempted to let it slip or fall off track. And that gets me to the fears. Sometimes you will have to face a fear, but that's true of any goal. That's true whether you're reprogramming your subconscious mind or not. Whenever you're doing anything new, there's an element of the newness, and that can be a little scary. But again, that is all normal. You're actually doing it right. And one key thing I'll say is that if you really follow through on this reprogramming process, you will eventually reach a point where you brush past all fears and you truly feel like you've become that new belief, that new habit, that new goal has been achieved and realized, that new self-image. And that is one of the most satisfying, fulfilling, rewarding experiences in your entire life that you can experience, when you can stand quietly in the present moment, close your eyes and realize that you have truly changed. And you have the thing that once was a pipe dream, the thing that you never seemed to be able to get there. You kept falling off track, you kept getting hit by obstacles in the face. This, if you commit to it, will 100% carry you towards whatever direction you're headed, whatever you're trying to achieve, if you hold on, if you do it daily and with emotion. With that being said, last but not least, be flexible with this, have fun. Try to make this a really joyful, light-hearted experience, because you actually will rebel against this if you try and do it very seriously and worry about all the changes happening and trying to pinpoint if it's working or not. Embrace this with an attitude of surrender and trust and faith. And really, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work? Okay, try something else. All you have to do is listen to it like a song, or write down something like you're writing down a journal entry, a bit of time each day. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, fantastic. Your job is simply to do the practice, have faith, surrender, and trust. Because the way this will unfold, none of us can really predict. None of us can pinpoint A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. steps on how you will go from your past self to your new self. So it's about having flexible trust in this process and to be guided, to intuitively be guided and to feel into the new truth, the new you. That's the first and foremost primary goal, is to joyfully feel into that new goal, that new self, that new habit, that new self-image, as I've said a lot by now. So I know this has been a long video, but this has the power to change your life and to really get you the results you want, to really elevate your baseline state of emotion, state of being, or state of vibration, to completely transform your quality of life for the better. So I hope you had some value in this experience and that reprogram your subconscious mind has been demystified and it's clear to you. If not, leave me some comments down below. I will shoot more videos on this topic to clarify certain elements of it, so your feedback is greatly appreciated. Please like the video and please subscribe for all the new videos I have coming up on law of attraction, spirituality, and personal development, because that is the theme of this channel. Alrighty guys, thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best with this process.